Hello, seasoners. Welcome back to another episode of my first season. I have known today's guest since 2004 when we first met at Club Med Cancun, but that is not the journey we are here to talk about. Today, we are talking about a far more powerful one. In May of 2025, he was diagnosed with throat cancer and faced an intense battle that included 35 radiation treatments and 6 rounds of chemotherapy. Through determination, inner strength, and unwavering focus, he came through the fight and is now cancer-free. He has since written an inspiring book about that journey titled Mind Over Body, The Story of a Peaceful Warrior, a journey of resilience, discipline, and rebirth. Joining us from Montreal, please help me welcome Simon Fortin. Hey, Simon, how are you?
Good afternoon, Swan.
Oh, thank you. My nickname. Yeah, no one calls me that anymore, so thank you. It's nice to hear. Thank you.
It's good to bring things back to
yes,
where we all started.
Yes, it would be nice to, since we're both in Montreal, it would be nice to bring back the beach right now. If someone could send us some sand and sun, that would be great. Thank you.
We could do that.
So how are you, sir?
I'm very good. Missing the beaches, man. It's so cold right now, as you know.
Yeah. When people ask me, Greg, why did you stay 10 years in Club Med? This is why, right here. Okay.
Right here, chasing endless summers.
Yes. And that's all it was about for me personally. Like I get to avoid winter. I'm there.
I agree.
But since I'd like to talk about like since Club Med, because you worked for a very, very famous company where a few ex-geos have gone on to work. Could you tell me about your time in Cirque du Soleil a little bit?
Yeah, I was there for about 10 to 15 years, I'd say, on and off. Started as a training partner here in Montreal. Since I had my own performing company here, Cirque Carpe Diem and Trapezium. So I wasn't looking to go on tour, but I was helping others achieve their dreams. So I would be a training partner. I'd be cast on creation process, trying to develop new shows and whatnot. And then made my way up to touring. So I left for about 10 years touring with Cirque as the head coach of a touring, few shows actually. So I went on touring. I even performed in Germany with a very famous singer over there. Her name is, because she's still named Ellen Fisher after all. So yeah, it's been quite the journey.
What are just some of the names of the shows you worked on? Maybe we know them.
The latest one was called Bazaar, who just finished his 10 years stretch. So before that, I was on 2 shows that we put on cruise ships because Cirque du Soleil went back to sea. So it's called Cirque at Sea. And they had 2 shows. And then just before COVID hit, I believe they were up to 4 shows at seas. But then COVID struck, and then that was the end of it.
Hey, I didn't know they had a Cirque at Sea. That's a cool
Yeah,
idea.
they had 2, or even maybe at the very end, I think there were 3 cruise ships with Cirques.
Wow. Okay, I had no idea. That's amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you wouldn't mind, take me back to either May 2025 or just before, and like how you found out that maybe something was wrong in your throat area.
Well, in fact, what happened is for let's say 3 months prior to my appointment, I had itchy throat, but nothing out of the ordinary for me. As I'm coaching every day, yelling, screaming, it was just for me normal. I used to feel like that every other day, like sore throats or whatnot. So no biggie. I had bit of let's say a small mass in my neck, but I thought I just tweaked my neck doing muscle ups or something at the gym. So since it didn't bother me, I didn't think twice about it. I was still performing high rocks, as you know. Life was great. I had no symptoms, no nothing. Life like business as usual. It would kind of be very organic. It would go away, would come back. So since it would go away, I didn't think any of it. I was just like, whatever. But at the end, right before I went to check with the doctor, I'd say the week before that, the mass in my neck became so big that you could actually see it on my face, on my neck. You would look at me and be like, huh, did you swallow a golf ball or anything? It was that bad. And because it was that big and there are so many nerves and in your neck, it would press against nerves. So I would have a hard time seeing, hearing. I felt like I had like a sinusite all the time, headaches, dizziness. It was very strange. And then my girlfriend was like, well, Simon, I don't think you should. I think you have to. And she forced me because I didn't want to go. I don't like going to doctors. I'm always scared. And so I went, and he looked at me, didn't say much. I was pretty upset because I was going there for answers, and he couldn't give me any, or he didn't want to give me any. Maybe he had an idea at the time, but it was too early in the process to mention the C word then. So he just said that we're going to investigate, and he would send me to a echography test.
And I don't know if this is mentioning, because you had told me that, when you first noticed it and monitoring it, that like physically you didn't feel like you lost any strength
No,
whatsoever,
no,
right?
no, nothing at all. I still performing at my peak. Didn't lose weight because most of the symptom they'll say you get tired a lot quicker. You feel tired all the time. There's a sudden weight loss, and I had none of those. So nothing to warn me that my body was fighting a huge battle that I didn't even know about.
And about how long did you have to wait until you got some results?
All right, man, that's the worst part is the waiting game. Because once the doctor gave me my prescription for my echography, public services, man, it takes time. There's like a
Ah,
3 months
yes.
before the appointment and to get the, I don't know, you call them in English, the specialist ORL.
Yeah,
The,
yeah. I assume that you looked into going private, but probably the cost
oh,
was
I
too.
went private,
Oh,
Greg.
you did? Oh,
Oh, yeah, there was no, I couldn't wait. I was like, there's no way I wait 3 months. I'm curious. And the way I felt at that time was not great. And so I went for the scan in a private clinic. So it took me 2 days. But
oh,
the doctor who would take my case had also a 3 months pretty much waiting list. But after the result came back, because I went to a private clinic, things go fast when you go private.
yes.
So the doctor who sent me called me back a few days later. He was very surprised he already had the results. And I was like, yeah, I didn't wait. I went private. He goes, okay. And then he's like, yeah, I think we definitely need to investigate. And I was like, okay, why? And then he started mentioning that there were multiple masses in my neck. If I believe correctly, there are about five that were out of proportion. So I was like, oh shit, what is it? It's like, ah, don't worry, it could be nothing. I was like, okay, but if it's nothing, then if it isn't nothing, what it could be? It's like, yeah, it could be cancer. And that's when everything went silent. I was like, fuck, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, but don't worry about it. It's too early in the process. I'm like, how am I not supposed to worry when you just dropped the C word on me? It's like, yeah, but it can be something else. Yeah, but it also could be it. So then I had to wait for another scan, a TEP scan. So again, there were months on the waiting list, but I didn't. I went private again, speed things up, and I got my test done a few days later. And when that came back, the results were bad. It was almost confirmed at the time, but they couldn't confirm it yet. They had a pretty good idea, but I needed another test, a biopsy of it. So then I had to wait for a doctor. They were months and months, but again, I kind of went private and speed thing up and got to see a doctor, a specialist, a throat specialist within a few days. And we did the biopsy, and the biopsy came back a few days later, not so long after, and everything was confirmed then. I remember sitting in his office before the biopsy came back. When he did the biopsy and did all he went in through my nose with a camera and they look at the throats and whatnot. And at the time, he sat on his chair and said, "So, what do you want to hear?" I was like, "I just want to know what's going on. Don't sugarcoat it. I just need to know." He goes, "Well, I can tell you it's cancer, but it's not confirmed till the result of the biopsy comes back. But I'm pretty confident from what I see. It's a stage 3 cancer you have in your throats at the moment. It's pretty advanced." And I was like, "Oh, okay then. I guess cancer it is." So yeah, that took I speed things up because I didn't want to wait, but it's all because I went private.
Yeah, I was starting to think that when you were talking that you were already at 3. If you had gone, if you hadn't gone private, would that have been a six more months wait and possibly stage 4?
I,
Maybe.
I keep thinking about it because we'll talk about it now because I think it's
Yep.
important to understand that while the request was made by my original doctor, it was a request made urgent, 48 hours, urgent request to a scan. And I actually got a letter offering me the appointment when I came back after my treatments home.
Yes. Yes, I'm familiar with this. Yes.
Can you imagine?
Yep.
Therefore, I receive the notice of availability for my second scan 2 weeks after my treatments were over.
Yep.
So from there, who knows what would have happened? I don't know and I don't care because I'm here today. But yeah, I went private because I didn't want to wait. When the C word dropped, there was no way I would just wait.
Okay. So it comes back, you know what you have, then the doctor, I guess, proposes radiation treatments, rounds of chemo. So how do you manage the day to day of all this?
So what happened at first, I wanted options. I was like, okay, so because he was very honest. I really liked him. The specialist, the throat specialist was no bullshit, very honest. He goes, your chances of making it are pretty high because you're very healthy. But the biggest part of it is to go through the treatments. They will be hell. If you survive the treatments, you have good chances to live. That was pretty much what he said to me. And I was like, okay, I don't know if it's good or bad, but yes, chances are good, but the treatment are the hardest part of it, or hardest part of the battle. I was like, okay. And then that's when he mentioned that I would have to go through 35 rounds of radio. And originally, I was meant to have 7 rounds of chemo. And I was like, for some reason, I was scared of radiotherapy. I was really scared. I don't know why. I heard so many things and I asked him, okay, let's say that's what you're offering, what the hospital has for me. But are there any options, other ways, other treatments? He goes, there are, but there are not official yet. There are study cases. And I was like, okay. And he suggested me a study cases made in University of McGill medical department. So they had a different approach to cure throat cancer for my type of. They were very very specific. So I took an appointment with the surgeon, the doctor at the hospital of McGill, and met with him. And pretty much the way they were doing things, is they would try to avoid the radiotherapy. Pretty much, it was 3 rounds, only 3 rounds of chemio, but it would have been very, very severe chemio. And after those 3 massive rounds, it was surgery. It would cut open my neck and get rid of everything that was still had cancer on it, pretty much. And for some reason, I thought this was better. It was quicker. I was just get it done. But then he mentioned all the side effects of very severe chemo, and that was not sexy at all, let me tell you. But it's when he started to talk about the surgery itself. And I remember being very interested at that time. I thought it was the easiest way. Pretty much, I was trying to find the easiest way to go through cancer. Let me tell you, I was looking for an easy way out. And he mentioned the surgery, but that's when he said that once it's not a very long surgery, but he said there are many risks. I was like, okay. He goes, there's about 20% rate of dying. And that's when I shut off. I couldn't hear what he was saying because he mentioned that surgery had 20% risk of dying because of,
Internal bleeding?
yeah. And when you open a neck, everyone's neck is slightly different. There are so many nerves and things that goes by that you could become paralyzed, lose sight. There's a lot of potential incident. Let's just say I couldn't hear what he was saying. I was shocked about the dying part. So I left McGill and I was like, shit, there's no easy way out of this. The path that I thought would be better turned to be worse. I couldn't think of choosing that option for treatment. So I called back my specialist and I said, well, I met with the doctor you mentioned, and I don't think I'm willing to take the risk. Because even if you go through the procedure with him, there were still chances that at the very end you survive surgery, the 3 rounds of massive chemio, that you still would end up needing radiotherapy. So I was like, well, there's no winning. There's no perks. It's it's a no-go. So I decided to accept the treatment that was offered to me, the one with very high chances of making it. And that's when things start to move forward in that direction.
And how many days a week, or what was the schedule for the treatments?
So pretty much from that moment on, you don't realize how much preparation there is before you could actually start treatment. Because I first met with the doctor that would give me the chemotherapy. So it's almost customized to the type of person you are, because they pretty much play on the line of living or dying. They inject you poison pretty much, and they just give it enough that you live, but just not enough that you die. It's just on the line, and they have to monitor how your body reacts. And so first thing, I met with him and he gave me his plan and made his recipe and whatnot. Then I met with the radiotherapist that would give me the radio, and same thing with her. She would just, okay, we'll make the plans, and they have to build a mask, like Vader's mask, because you're stuck on the table. You cannot move. It's very scary at first because you actually screwed in the table when you do radio. That's really gotta let go of everything because it's scary. Let me tell you, at first, when they first mold the mask on your face and you're screwed on a table. And yeah, it was, but once all that was done, then they must have availability to help you. Greg, in my department, when I was doing chemotherapy, they were 80 people a day that would come in and out to get chemotherapy.
Oof.
That's crazy.
Wow. And how long roughly does each treatment take?
That's really personal
Okay.
to your case. So for me, my schedule pretty much it was a full-time job. From Monday to Friday, I had radio every day and I had one chemio a week. And my chemio was on Thursday. So on Thursday I would do both radio and chemio and I'd be at the hospital for about 8 to 10 hours.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But for radio only, it'd be a quick in and out, let's say at most 30 minutes.
And over the days, weeks, and months, as you're getting more and more tired, like, did you, Simon, like have a specific ritual routine that you use to?
Well, at first, I think it's important to say that when I first started, I was still training, running 5Ks a day. Nothing changes. For me, it was business as usual. And I started radio. And then after seven days, I had my first chemio. And still then, I felt somehow good. I was still training every day, running every day. I even competed in a half Irox race. I competed 2 days after having my first chemio. So I was at that time when I competed, I had, I believe I had 7 or 9 radio on me and one chemio already when I competed. And I was like, huh, I got this. And everyone on my medical staff were like, Simon, it won't stay like that. You should slow down, save up energy. And I didn't want to listen. I was like, no, I feel great. Well, great. I got this. I can manage this. And let me tell you, the wall I hit at after my second round of chemio, that's when the train went off the track. And off the track it did. Then it was downhill from there. It was crazy. I had so much problem with it was not so much the treatment. I'd say it was the side effects of the treatment that were very bad. They had a hard time finding the right medication to help me get through chemio. So that was the worst part. It was really hard. They couldn't find the right drugs to help me because the side effects were so bad. I was losing it. I was like, I can't go on. This is crazy. And that's when I realized I still had, at that time, 3 weeks of treatments, 3 more rounds of chemio, and close to 20 ish radio. And I was like, well, this is impossible. Impossible.
That's why I wanted to ask you, because after working with you for a year, two of the qualities, you have many qualities, but the two I always liked was number one, your stubbornness, and number two, your toughness. So when it's that hard, like how do you go back? Like what did you tell yourself, or were people motivating you? How did you go back on the hardest day? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, it's hard because people don't know what to say, really. And the last thing I wanted to hear is, oh, take it one day at a time. Greg, this was killing me one day at a time. I couldn't stand people telling me, don't worry, Simon, take it a day at a time. I would lose my shit when people would say that to me. I told people to stop. Don't don't say that to me because it didn't make sense. I was fighting every day, not knowing if I would actually go through or survive the day. I thought at some point when I was getting so weak, I couldn't even stand up. I couldn't do anything. I was so weak. They thought I was on the edge of being hospitalized just in order to keep me alive, in order to receive my treatment. I was that low. So the last thing I wanted to hear is just take it a day at a time, knowing I still had 3 weeks to go, or by then 2 weeks or whatever. I was like, I'm just not gonna make it. That's plain simple. There's so much pain. I'm so weak. There's just no way. Then I remembered when the specialist told me, if you want to make it, you have to survive treatment. And at that point, I was like, I might not be able to. I won't lie. And then a friend of mine who had to go through a few storms in his life said something to me like, he said pretty much, yeah, fuck this bullshit one day at a time. I know it's bad. It's terrible. But know this, Simon, your day will be very long, but you'll see how your weeks will go by fast. And then I realized that it was true, because suddenly the next round of chemio would swing in. And I was like, already, even though I was afraid of that day, because the days after chemio, I felt so bad. But he was right. Like, as long as my days felt, the weeks went by on somehow fast, if that makes sense.
It's good advice.
And then you think of everyone. I think, like, for my daughters, well, because as you know, my mom died of cancer. So
Yes.
for me, my biggest fear, like my mom died at 52, my biggest fear was to turn 50 and die of cancer. And a few years back, I made a promise to myself to be the healthiest version of myself before I turned 50. And so I did. But then I got cancer, and maybe the only reason why I survived cancer is because I was that healthy at the time. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank God you never quit.
Yeah.
Over these 41 total treatments or more, all your time at the hospital, did anyone at the hospital, like, did you become close to anyone? They become like a family to you, second family?
The staff were amazing.
Should we tell
Honestly,
everyone what hospital you're at, or you don't have to?
I was at Sherbrooke Hospital.
Okay.
They were amazing. They were so human. S- The empathy they had, the everything. It was, I wouldn't say it was a great experience, because it isn't, but they made it a great experience. They were always there to listen, to help. And we had that ritual every day when I would come to radio. They would ask me what music I wanted to listen to, and they would put the song I wanted to change my mind. And so we had a bit of fun. And I would always tell them that, because my plan before cancer, the last competition I did IROX in Miami in February, and my partner and I finished fourth. So we were one spot away from a podium. So our goal was to race in Toronto, the next IROX that we would sign up for, and actually make it onto the podium. So we trained so hard, and the goal was to win Toronto. But then cancer happened and whatnot. But throughout my treatment, all I kept saying is, I don't care. I'm doing IROX Toronto. in October. And all the medical staff, they were kind of laughing, saying, "Yeah, don't put pressure on you, Simon." But I didn't listen. I was just like, "Yeah, whatever. I'm gonna do it." And then at some point, I didn't even know if I would survive, but I still had the intention of racing in October.
And during the 6 chemo cycles, did you get a moment of either fear, deep fear, or was there a sudden burst of hope? Like, was there a moment where you thought, I could beat it?
No, because chemio was pretty much killing me. After, I believe I was at my fourth round. I believe I was at my fourth round. And before you do chemio, you have to pass blood test, and they pretty much evaluate the stature of your body and if it's willing to take another round of chemio. So it's very, very well monitored. They take no chances because, as I told you, it's poison. So it's just enough that you don't die, but you could if it's a little too much. So you always have to go through pretty much a checklist. And if anything comes out negative, uh, you don't get chemio. I started to have problems and failing my checklist tests. And so I had the they prescribed me with shots. I had to inject myself to boost my I think was my blood cells at that time that were so low I couldn't go on. So my stepfather was my carekeeper, my guardian angel. So we ended up being the person who would inject me for I believe I had 3 days of injections. And after that, we did the test again, and I was just below acceptable. And they decided that to give it to me anyway, because I was at 4, and they really wanted me to get as close as possible to 7 or 6 rounds, hopefully, of chemio, because below that, you're not going to make it. It's not going to cure cancer. So I passed. I took that next round of chemio, barely survived it. And then it got me at my weakest point. And at that point, that's when they thought of rushing me in the hospital and being 24/7 being monitored to keep me alive through the next round of chemio. That next round came, and again I couldn't get it. My body wasn't willing to get another round of chemio, so they looked at options, different type of drugs and whatnot, and then they ended up giving me something that worked. It kind of I did the test again, and then I was just still just on the edge, just on the edge. And I at that time this would become my sixth round of chemio. And then after that, I would have my last 7 radio treatments and one last round of chemio. But at that time, I won't lie, I didn't think my body was going to be able to take another round. I was like, my body barely survived the last 2. We did everything medical wise to help my body go through the last rounds, and my body didn't want to take it anymore. So the last day on my chemio, I spent pretty much, I failed the test. Then they tried to give me more drugs, tried to work things out. I stayed plugged in for 8 hours on hydration and drugs, and they did everything they could trying to bring my levels just high enough I could take that sixth round. No, sorry, that seventh round, because I was already at 6. The last one, the seventh, and my body didn't want to. We had to quit. It was like there's no way. And then they told me we'll try again in 2 days on your last radio. because it has to be combined to work. So I asked my chemo doctor options. I was like, I can't take that last round. My body's telling me no. I am so weak. I have no more energy. I am done with this. Then what? And then he sat with me. And that's when he told me, to be honest, Simon, we don't know if there's a difference between 6 or 7 round of chemo. I was like, oh, so pretty much you're telling me that I could skip the seventh round and be in the same state, like the same result at the end. He goes, yeah, there's no medical proof that the seventh round will change anything. Because in my case, radiotherapy was the main cure for cancer, and chemo was there to support and give an extra boost to radio. And I was like, well, if you're telling me that medically you cannot tell me this will be a game changer, then I will not take it. And then he said, the only thing, Simon, you have to ask yourself if you're willing to live with that decision. I was like, okay, do say. He's like, well, in X amount of months, years, if the cancer comes back, will you accept the fact that you did skip the last chemo? I was like, okay. Then again, can you guarantee me that if I accept the seventh round, that in a few months or years, cancer will not ever come back? They say, no, we cannot guarantee that. So I had my answer right there. I was like, well, that's it for me. I will not go on with another round of chemo. There's no proof of evidence that it will make a difference. And my body is telling me to stop, or I'm dying. So I'm done. And that's when I choose to not have my seventh round.
And when you knew it was the last one, was it happiness or what do I do now? What happens now? Or both?
Oh, mix of all of them. For sure, I was done. It's like, there's no way I could go on another day, another week of treatment. My body, I lost close to 30 pounds. I was a ghost. I was so skinny. It was terrible. I lost every facial hair on my face. Uh, man, I was a scary man. I couldn't stand my reflection. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror anymore. It scared me. And when everything was over, I was so happy that the thing I underestimated, I thought when it's over, it's like the flu. When the flu is over, life comes back to normal. But with cancer and treatment, doesn't quite happen that way. I I think it's just as bad, the aftermath. I have to live. It's been what, close to 5 months now since I'm done treatments, and I still have side effects to live by. I still have struggles with eating, talking. Not so much anymore talking, but I had to learn to talk again because for almost a month I couldn't talk anymore. So all my muscles were at rest. So I had to learn to talk again. There's so much I had to go through, and I didn't realize, they didn't prepare me for it. No one mentioned it. All they said to me, you'll see after treatment, you will be back on track. And through time, life will come back to what you're used to. But let me tell you, the after is just as hard if you ask me. It's very frustrating because you're done with everything, but yet you still have to face all the side effects.
What kind of side effects, if you're able to say?
Well, for me, it was mostly eating. I couldn't eat still.
Okay.
There was so much pain. I couldn't eat. I didn't eat for about a month and a half, 2 months, pretty much. It was only liquid and barely. There was so much pain in my throats. I just couldn't eat, couldn't drink. So I was so dehydrated. So it's a vicious circle. You don't drink, you don't eat, you get weak and weaker and to the weakest. So it was bad. They offered me so many times to have tubes through my nose and be fed like that, and I always refused, and that was my biggest mistake. If there's only one advice I could give is, if you get to that point, put your prides aside and agree, take it, because I don't know if it's because I was stubborn or it was the last thing I controlled was being able to feed myself. And if I would have gave that up, I would pretty much have gave up everything. I had no control on anything else. And I think that was the mistake I made. When I look back at it, I wish if Simon today would go back to Simon then, I would make sure Simon tells Simon, dude, take those tubes into your nose, and it won't make it easier, but you won't be as weak, I don't think. And it would have made a big difference on how I felt, not so much on the pain and everything else, but just at least I don't think I would have been that weak. I don't think.
And is there one thing or several things you appreciate now that you might have overlooked before your diagnosis?
Dude, when they tell you you go back to your normal life, there's no such normal life after cancer. For me, um, I don't look at things the same way anymore. I'm just very, very grateful to be alive, and that's all there is. I, I'd like to say that the only thing cancer killed is my ego. I feel I'm ego free. I don't mind much anymore. I don't ask of much. I believe being alive is all I need, because everything else I can get for myself. You know what I mean?
Yes. You mentioned a goal with High Rocks. So, just for the listeners who have never heard of High Rocks, could you just briefly explain what High Rocks
Sure.
is?
Pretty much, Irox is a endurance race. It's a competition always set up the same way. So you prepare for it. You know exactly what awaits you. It's a 8 kilometers of running, and in between each kilometers of running, you have a physical station. It's always the same stations, always the same order. It's like a marathon. You only want to be faster and faster and faster through time.
And this is all conducted indoors, right?
There are some places that do it outside, but with the weather, it's a risk. But mostly inside, yes.
Okay. So you had a goal before treatment. Did you get back to competing?
I did, but not how I planned it. Because remember, I said I really wanted to win Toronto.
Yes.
Toronto, if I remember correctly, it was early October. I finished treatment on September 4th. So I believe they were 5 weeks before IROX Toronto. And when I finished, I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to win it, but I'm going to do it. And everyone was like, Simon, you can't walk right now. How are you going to do it? And I didn't want to listen to anyone. I was like, you'll see, I'm going to do it. And as time went on, and as I said earlier, I wasn't prepared for my after. I thought it would be a walk in the park. Treatment's over, life is back, Simon's back, but it didn't quite work that way. I had to learn to talk, walk, stand up. It was a long process, and closer and closer to Toronto, I realized it was impossible for me to race because My intention was just to cross the finish line, even if it would take me 4 hours. But I realized, I think it was a week before Toronto, I was still unable to run. And I was like, man, there's no way. Even if I go, I think the risk of getting injured is really high. The risk of slowing down my recovery, very high. And I couldn't see how I would be proud of myself doing that race. So I choose to give up on it. But it was my decision. It wasn't anyone's decision. Even though everyone told me, yeah, we told you. I was like, I don't care what you said. It till today was my decision because I knew I wasn't ready. But then I looked at the calendar and there was a race in Chicago a month after Toronto. So it would pretty much give me from the end of my treatments to the race in Chicago exactly 8 weeks, 2 months. At that time, I was maybe at my fourth week of recovery. So I had another 4 weeks of recovery. And I believed I could make it. So I signed up for Chicago. And people were already saying, you're crazy. Don't do this to yourself. You already pull yourself out of Toronto. Why would you do that? You're not going to be able to. And I put that noise down and I went to the gym every day. I, dude, I was getting dizzy. I couldn't stand up, but I was still at the gym. I would just take longer breaks. I was trying to run. As soon as I would try to push speed, I would start to feel dizzy. But okay, tomorrow I'll do a minute longer. And I just kept pushing through pain, dizziness, still not eating very much. But I had a goal, I had a mission, and I wanted to do IROX in Chicago. I knew then I was going to be able to go and cross the finish line. I just didn't know how it would happen, but I knew I could do it. And so we did. We went to Chicago.
Excellent. How'd that feel?
It felt great because 2 weeks before Chicago, I started to feel very confident that things would go well, that I'd be able to actually enjoy the race. I had no expectation on how I would rank. I just wanted to show up as a survivor. I wanted to run for everyone that's still fighting a battle, for everyone who unfortunately can't run anymore. They didn't survive. I just wanted to feel alive, feeling myself again. Yeah, it felt like the right thing to do.
And do you have any more competitions for 2026?
Oh, yeah, my friend, because thing I didn't say yet is how it turned out in Chicago.
Okay. Did you place better than you thought, your team?
Well, we didn't just finish the race, we won the race.
Wow. How's
I don't know how it happened. We were actually faster than we were in Miami. We were the fastest on the track and we won. Even though 2 months ago I couldn't stand up, I couldn't walk, I thought I was dying. So this is till today something that I still don't believe we achieved. It's crazy.
that's your movie ending right there. Huh?
But
Wow.
there's
Excellent.
a sequel
Oh, really?
because now, and that's in a month or so, we're going to Washington this time for championship, America's championship. So my partner and I are representing Canada in this race. Canada versus USA versus the South Americas. And whoever wins goes to the World's Championships.
Okay. Wow, I guess so. I really thank you for taking time to do this out of your training. Then you must have it all worked out, right?
Well, it's going. I won't lie, it's going very well.
Okay, good.
Very well. Training, just it's crazy. I don't think I've trained that hard in my life. I I want it so bad for all the reason I mentioned before. Just for everyone who's fighting, everyone who lost their fights. It's not even about winning. It's about showing up for everyone. And now we have the opportunity to do so. And what's crazy is we won Chicago 2 months, perfectly 2 months after treatments. And then Washington will happen exactly 6 months after treatments. So I think it's meant to be, my friend.
It is. Speaking of meant to be, of course, this, I think it complete like you writing the book that you wrote that, you can find on Amazon, Mind Over Body. I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about your book.
Yes. So pretty much the book I wrote is the story from the moment I rang the bell. You know, you ring a bell when you're done with your treatments. So from that day until we won the race in Chicago is in the book. Pretty much the whole process on how I felt, side effects I was still fighting. It's a very intimate, very personal. I'm very vulnerable through each pages, but it really shows what people don't see. Because people would see me at the gym thinking, oh my God, you're back. But they didn't know that I'm at the gym, but I'm so dizzy. That's the reason why I'm sitting. Or that I have the biggest headache, but I'm just happy to be alive, that I don't care. And I just keep pushing because I'm alive. And that no one can take that away from me. And that's pretty much what I wrote about. And now I'm trying to take the second half of the story with a live version and trying to document everything on my Instagram from now on until the race as something where people can relate to it almost live.
So anyone listening, we'll be sure to put that link with this episode. So anywhere you get podcasts, you'll find a link to his Instagram and the book on Amazon. And I'll also be making posts on my first season Facebook page as well.
But I'm very sorry, at the moment, the book is only in French.
No problem, no problem. But we spoke. I think we might have a way around it.
So yeah, if you follow me from now on Instagram, I'll kind of share my journey live almost every few days and checking in and trying to inspire you to do a little bit more and see where it'll take us. I call that my mind over body project.
Excellent. I do look forward to it. Well, Simon, I can't thank you enough, for taking the time to do this, to get your story out. I think it's important, and above all that, I'm just so happy I can still you're here for me to talk to you. You know what I mean? Because like you mentioned
Absolutely.
before, not everyone makes it. So
Yep. But thank you for giving me an opportunity to share the story because I didn't realize it at first, but there are so many people that have reached out to me, like hundreds, if not 1,000 of people that reached out, letting me know how much they supported me and how much I inspired them. So thank you.
thank you for speaking and mentioning the ones that didn't make it. A lot of us have lost someone to cancer. So
Yeah, you know about it.
yeah. So I really do thank you for coming on today, Simon, and sharing your story. And please, everyone, follow him along on Instagram. I'll be posting the link and check out his book on Amazon. And yeah, really, Simon, thank you so much again for agreeing to do this.
It was a great pleasure. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, and to everyone who's listening, just don't give up the fight. Just don't stop, no matter what. Find a way. Just find a way. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. If you can't crawl, just go an inch. But just don't stop. That's all I have to say. Just keep pushing.
Words to live by for sure. Amazing. Thank you.
Mind over body. That's all I have to say.
See y'all next week, everyone. Say bye, Simon.
Bye, Greg. Bye, everyone.